Thank you, Karen Corla. There's been no shortage of shoddy, poorly thought-out legislation passed through this House in the last 14 months, and in many cases it was because of the lack of debate and scrutiny. It's a big frustration of the way business is being conducted that debate often only happens after a bad proposal has already been passed. The Government are attempting to do the same thing again with this motion. Rush it through, ignore concerns and curtail debate seems to be the motto. 55 minutes to discuss this is all we get. That's not adequate time to carefully assess and debate the pros and cons of any motion. And Ceann Comhairle, I completely discount what the Taoiseach had to say to me yesterday on the floor, that this is not legislation. It's a framework. What the Taoiseach didn't say is that this very framework will be underpinned by legislation. And that's when we see the problems. We see it currently in the National Planning Framework, which is underpinned by Section 28 of the Planning and Development Act 2000, allowing for guidelines to be issued at any time by the Minister, but these planning guidelines are developed by zealots and being imposed in the most Stalinist fashion by the planning regulator across county councils and to county councillors. That's the reason we must have more debate for this so-called plan. A college debating society would spend longer on a trivial topic for debate, yet here we are the country's main lawmaking chamber, getting 45 minutes between 160-odd members to discuss important issues. Yesterday I raised briefly with on Taoiseach that the lack of joined-up thinking when it comes to issuing licences for marine activities. We currently have a situation in coastal waters around Ireland where cable-laying conglomerates are being issued with a licence to lay an underwater cable by the Department of Planning and Local Government, and at the same time there are numerous fishermen and women who have licences issued to them by the Department of Marine to fish in the same areas. No consultation has taken place with the departments as to how or what way the cable-laying licence may impinge on the fishermen who have been there for their lifetime. Now the cable-laying conglomerates are issuing legal letters telling the fishermen to cease and desist from fishing over their cables in the areas where the cables are laid. These massively rich corporations know that their wealth places them in a strong position to bully the fishermen. And many fishermen do not have the financial resources to fight a complex court case to defend their rights to fish. In this situation, we effectively have two licences for two separate activities granted by two separate departments for activities in the same waters, which are ultimately in conflict with each other. This is what I mean by a lack of joined-up thinking. When it comes to the arms of the state, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Ceann Comhairle, I'd like to hear from the Taoiseach as to how this has happened. We can't allow anyone or anything to ride roughshod over fishermen and their rights to fish in our waters. This year there's been already a 15% loss to quotas due to Brexit. And on top of that, the Government didn't even see fit to recognise the chartered skippers when it came to providing COVID business supports. They have been treated as if they don't exist, or the fact that it doesn't register any importance on government level. The fishermen of Wexford, Duncannon and Kilmore want to be able to head out and earn their living and not have to arrive home to a threatening cease and desist letter waiting for them in their postbox from some billion-dollar conglomerate who sees them as being in their way. The Department of Food, Agriculture and Marine must take responsibility and take this in hand. I'm all in favour of wind energy, but we cannot allow its rollout further destroy our fishing industry. There has to be protections for the primary rights of fishermen, ferry operators and leisure craft operators who have serviced the islands of this country for decades and centuries. Any licences awarded for an alternative marine activity must give due regard and higher priority to the activities of those who have fished our waters for decades and centuries. Having a token 45-minute debate does absolutely nothing for the confidence of the fishing communities, who are already of the belief that government doesn't want them there or to continue in the sector. A decommissioning scheme has been suggested, But what the fishermen want is to be able to earn their livelihood and mechanisms in place that allow them to do that. I call upon the Secretary-General, Brendan Gleeson, to immediately hold up his hand in the Department of Agriculture and Food and Marine and take ownership of the mistakes that have been made, to defend the fishermen currently having to go to the High Court to assert their rights over the multi-billion cable conglomerates, and take responsibility for the Department's failings. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much.